11 grand, 12 grand.
Wow.
So that was one of the biggest ones because I hit 5 figures and that was like all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I still have my job offer from Travelers where they offered me $45,000 for a year. So what I used to make a year, I made it a month. And this was like a couple years into entrepreneurship. So that was the thing that opened my mind and said, you know what, I gotta go all in.
Welcome back to the Beige Moguls Podcast. This is CEO Cowser here in Houston, Texas. Today we have a very special guest, my friend Chris Cobbs. He has over 500,000 social media followers with over 30 million views. He's a self-made entrepreneur. I'm honored to have you, brother. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I'm excited to be here.
How you doing today?
Man, good. Like me and you were talking, I've been traveling a lot recently. So this is the first week I've been here with nobody around. So I got a chance to catch up on some sleep and some food. So I'm excited. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me your story, bro. I know we met a couple months back in the office. Tell me about your upbringing. Where you from? What do you do?
Interesting story. So I'm from a small town called Hartwell, Georgia. So it's not like I grew up seeing a lot of entrepreneurs. It wasn't lawyers, doctors, professional athletes. I didn't see any of that stuff. But I was that kid in middle school selling jawbreakers, selling pencils and erasers. So actually one of my first entrepreneur things I can think of is I knew my parents like midnight snacks. So I would go to like Walmart, buy them and upsell them to my parents and my siblings. My whole family's in education. So my mom was a teacher, dad taught for a couple years. Growing up, everybody told me, if you want to have a good life, go to school, get a degree, get a job. That was the family trade. That's exactly what I did. Went to University of Georgia, got a business degree. That's kind of when reality hit me because I did everything I was supposed to do and I graduated, had over $70,000 in student loans.
Wow.
So when you're 22, 23 years old, you hear 70,000, you're like, how am I ever gonna get out? Yeah, like it was a big number at the time. Not only that, my first job coming out of college was with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
I love Enterprise.
So basically I was just washing and vacuuming cars. And so I was making like 12, 13 bucks an hour with a college degree with $70,000 in student loans. And so for me, I was kind of like, okay, is this what my life is gonna be?
Right.
I was like, nah, this can't be it. Beautiful thing about Enterprise though, a lot of people who rent cars as a business, I would always shake hands and meet new people.
Yeah.
And a couple guys would come in, they said, man, you should look into the insurance industry. That's what you should, look into. And ironically, I studied insurance in college, risk management. Met a couple people, shook a couple hands, and then boom, I got an interview with another company called Travelers. I got a job there, was an underwriter at 23, 24 years old. So life was a little bit better, making like $60,000, $70,000, no kids, no wife, living a dream. And then I was faced with the same thing like 3 or 4 years later. I was like, this can't be my life. Because I was a guy in a cubicle all day, checking spreadsheets and P&L statements. And I was just like, man, I like this stuff, but I don't know if this is what I want to do.
It wasn't a part of the long-term?
No, not at all. The job I had, although it was nice and I enjoyed it, I knew for a fact it wasn't going to get me where I want to go.
It was a comfort zone, but you wanted more. So you asked yourself in that pivotal point.
Correct. So when I got into life insurance as a broker, I still kept my job at Travelers as an underwriter, but I was just looking for something that could give me that yes answer as to, hey, can this provide the life I want? So when I started thinking about other opportunities, I was like, you know what, maybe this is something I should do because there's a lot of money here, there's a lot of opportunity, but two, I have a story that I can share with people because the people who don't take advantage of it is usually just ignorance. Like you just don't know what you don't know. Right. Nobody wants to talk about life insurance, but they don't understand like how many benefits and other things that are there outside of death. That's kind of what transitioned me to getting in the industry and learning more about it, but having a family full of educators, whenever you hear me talk and explain things, that's always been my competitive advantage because I never had a background in marketing and I never had a background in sales. Like for me, it's all education, it's all teaching. So when you tell me to put my sales hat on, I'm not the best person in the world, but if you ask me to become a teacher, I can do that all day. And that's just kind of been my niche and it works for me. That's who I see myself as, and I just happen to see that finance is my classroom. I happen to deal with adults, just not children.
So how did you get into life insurance exactly?
One of my mentors, or one of the guys I looked up to at the time, he had a life insurance brokerage and he always say, hey, I'm looking for more people, more entrepreneurs. I want to teach people. So study his stuff, study his background. I was like, okay, he says it's one of the wealthiest industries. So I decided to get my license. Getting licensed in most states is $200 or $300. Takes 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's not a long class. But it was just me being on YouTube, finding, watching some people that I like. You guys probably know. I think I told you, Patrick Bet-David.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of PBD.
I was following him. I joined his company a couple years ago, got great experience. And just watching him and being mentored by him, that's how I got into the industry.
Wow, that's what a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. So what are some of the greatest things that you've learned from being mentored by someone as successful as Patrick Bet-David?
PBD is like super brilliant. And so like he just does what he knows to do, does the hard work, and just let the results play out. When you start looking at some of the best entrepreneurs, they're just even keel.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they understand that business is seasons.
100%. And I think being able to be consistent through all that volatility, right, of the changing seasons, the changing business environment, climate, so on and so forth. So when did you catch your first big break? Like, when did you get your first big check in working in life insurance?
I'll give you 3 levels. One, the first level is this: my very first check was $400. For me, it was the first time I started something mentally, provided a service, and I got paid. Now the second one, the next 2 actually were in 2020. I quit my job to do this full time. What was fortunate is me and my wife, we were using Zoom in 2018. So when COVID hit, our sales skyrocketed because we were the only ones who knew how to meet with people without having to meet in person.
You were ahead of the curve.
Way ahead of the curve. It was crazy because that January, that's when I moved here and we got married. We made $3,000 in a month. And I was just like, you know, that's okay, part-time, whatever. But March, we went from $3,000, $2,500 to like $1,700. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? The broker I was working with at the time, he said, Chris, I can promise you this. You come into work every single day. You put in the energy, the effort. He said, you're an entrepreneur though. After that April, that was the first time me and my wife made over $10,000 in a month.
Wow.
Big money.
So
right?
it went from 1,700 to now you're hitting over 5 figures.
$11,000, $12,000.
Wow.
That June, that's when I turned 30, $15,000. So that was one of the biggest ones because I hit 5 figures and that was like all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
By July, we made $42,000 in a month.
Wow. Very impressive.
Yeah, and I still have my job offer from Travelers where they offered me $45,000 for a year. So what I used to make a year, I made in a month. And this was like a couple years into entrepreneurship. So that was the thing that opened my mind and said, you know what, I gotta go all in. I can't do this in my job.
Yeah.
It's not even possible.
Right.
So whether I do it here as an entrepreneur, that's one thing or another, but like the fact that it's possible, that's where I wanna be.
And you talk a lot about, is what I'm currently doing gonna help me reach my intended outcome? What are some of your goals, right? And why entrepreneurship? 7
figures is an annual goal for me. Haven't got there. My brokerage, the business does that annually, but not me. Personally, I would have to change a lot in order to become a millionaire. And I'm more excited about who I have to become as the process, more so than just having the money.
It's an evolutionary process.
Correct. Especially in our business too, like going from scratch, not knowing anybody, not doing anything, and then boom, making $1 million a year.
It's a transformation.
Correct.
It's a spiritual shift. It's a mindset shift. It's a work ethic shift. It's everything. And ultimately, I'm sure you just want to make sure that your family is taken care of. I mean, you just got married a few years ago. I got married last year. You know, we plan on having children. It's like you want to make sure that your generations have a much better foundation, right?
My vision, short term, is getting 1,000 licensed agents who are helping more people do what we're doing and creating freedom in their lives. And most importantly, getting the information about why insurance is important. So we have that. My wife has a CRM that she's built. And we're just using social media to tell a story. That's all it is, to teach, educate, and tell a story.
That's amazing, man. That's truly an inspiration. So Chris, tell us, what are some of the biggest challenges that you faced along this journey of entrepreneurship?
For me, believe it or not having a marketing, sales background, and promotions. So like you'll learn as an entrepreneur, you have to promote. Like it is what it is. And there's different ways to do it. You can do paid, you can do warm outreach, all that stuff, but you have to learn and become comfortable with promoting. And for me, just because I'm such an educated teacher, like I said, when you tell me to sell, I feel weird.
Right.
But if you tell me to educate and teach, like I'm cool with that. So it took me a good 6 months to a year to find my comfort zone within the business.
How does one develop self-confidence as an entrepreneur, right? When your parents are telling you, hey, stay in school, keep your 9-to-5 job. When your spouse might be saying, hey, you know, I don't want to be stressed out about our finances. When your friends are looking at you like you're crazy, how do you overcome that?
For me, I just think about wins I've already had in life and just say if I've won at some point, maybe I can do it again. Some people say confidence comes from demonstrated ability. And most people in their life, you've won something, whether you realize it. Either you got up on time, you went to the gym, or you got a degree, or you got the job, you nailed the interview. And so it's like, can you keep stacking on top of those wins? If you keep progressing, you can get to where you want to go.
How important has focus been in your success?
It's everything. When it comes to moving fast and excelling the business, honestly, it's just doing the basic stuff at the time that you said you would do it. Let's say someone asked for a quote. Like, hey, I'm thinking about getting $1 million policy. What would it cost me? Most people would send it at the end of the week. Our competitive advantage, me and my wife, we don't have years of experience, we don't have the Rolodex, we don't have millionaires in our families. The only thing that we can do is probably do the same stuff faster. That's where my focus comes in. Just trying to beat everybody to the punch. I'm not that good, but if I can be there first, then I can probably beat you. Once you win the business, people aren't shopping around anymore. I'm not solving for being the greatest or the best, I'm just solving for being the quickest, the most efficient, and the fastest.
I think that's so crucial in entrepreneurship because so many times we'll have 10 different things to do. And if we don't do it at the time in which we set, it's a domino effect, right? And it can either work for you or against you.
When you know there's things that you're supposed to be doing and you don't do it, like it doesn't matter how brilliant you are, you won't feel the same.
So Chris, I have a question for you, man.
Yeah.
I ask everybody on my show this question. What is your definition of a mogul?
I think of someone who has some level of expertise in a field. It's almost like second nature to them. It's something about what they do that becomes artistic. Great artists always produce what's in them, and then everybody just comes to love it. But they usually make it for no reason other than I need to express it. And when I think of moguls, I think they're people who have found something in their life that's like their art. Hey, there's something that they do, it's a gift, and they probably would do it for free. But the fact that they would be willing to do it for free at a high level is why they become a mogul. That's why we respect said person in this area. And so that's kind of how I see it.
I would say that you're a mogul yourself. So what makes you the mogul that you are today?
Desire for people to get it, like understand it. So I coming with the educational background, that's just my heart, that's my parents, my grandparents, that's what I saw. Like I saw people take underprivileged people in or, work with children and like really give all their energy, effort, all their resources to make sure that people get a chance to have the light bulb moment. So for me, the passion comes from, I want you to understand that thing that you think is a big dragon or monster, it's not that big, it's not even real.
100%, and I feel like the more we learn, the more we earn, right? And I love what you're doing with your platform. You're constantly providing financial literacy and educating people about their finances. So what's next in your journey, man? You're seeing all this traction with your business, you're making a killing, adding impact, adding value, have over 30 million views on social. What's next for Chris Cobb?
I think the next thing for us is taking specific areas of finance and going deep. Having a section on taxes and literally shooting 50 to 100 videos explaining what are taxes, how they work, how to get refunds, how to, avoid certain things legally, obviously. My long-term goal is tutor, mentorship of some sort. I don't know if it's gonna be for middle school or high school ages. I don't know if it's gonna be adults, but my idea for the academy will be entrepreneur-based, finance-based, and just teaching hard skills of how to make money, how to produce. We got a new economy, like things are changing. You better get up with technology. You better learn these skills because you'll get behind. So trying to figure out a way to get more information out and make it digestible and easy to consume because I want people to get it.
I love that. Everybody wins. And I think that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's building community and networking with like-minded individuals. It's been a pleasure having you on this show, man. And really had a great conversation. We definitely gotta have a part 2. Bro, where can people find you if they want to connect?
All my handles are Chris Cobb, ChrisCobb_chosen.
That's beautiful, man. Thanks so much for hopping on this show.
Calzy, I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, my guy. I'm so happy we made this happen.
Yes, sir.